These powerful operations to eliminate the occupiers are causing panic not only in Russian Belgorod, but also in the temporarily occupied Donbas and even in the Crimean mountains. The defense forces have set a course for the total destruction of enemy radars. They're hitting so hard the ground is shaking. Epic footage has already spread across the entire internet, even Russian generals have seen it. Putin's soldiers have never experienced such humiliation. Our forces keep delivering blows to the enemy, blazing strikes. Thank you. Exclusive details on how they are masterfully throwing the enemy off balance in the following report.
Last Sunday, the border area of Belgorod came under fire. It was our forces that struck the S-300 air defense system and the Nebo M radar complex. These systems were covering the aggressive actions of the occupiers. And just like that, tens of millions of Russian dollars are burning in a Ukrainian forest belt. That's how much a Buk missile system radar costs. Usually, our HIMARS and special drones neutralize such enemy weapons. And here's another example from occupied Crimea. This is a radar station of the S-400 system burning. This happened on the way to Yevpatoria, near the city of Saki. When operational, these radars can detect aerial targets at a distance of up to 300 kilometers. They can see our drones, aircraft, and cruise missiles.
The main systems being targeted are, of course, the complexes connected to the S-300 and S-400 launchers, which pose the greatest threat to Ukraine because they can not only detect and track relevant targets, but also allow the enemy to effectively conduct reconnaissance.
Ukrainian defense forces usually neutralize such enemy radars with missile strikes, HIMARS, Storm, Shadow. There are also specialized anti-radar weapons in service.
We have been supplied with special missiles that specifically respond to radars, and they are called anti-radar missiles. They fly directly towards their emitted beam, towards their electromagnetic emission.
And now, from the Black Sea, there is a significant threat to Russian army radars.
Ukrainian drones approach the coast of Crimea, effectively launching strike drones that allowed them to penetrate deep into the territory. Could get within 20 to 30 kilometers of the enemy and strike such radars.
Russian radars in Crimea are becoming relatively easy targets due to the peninsula's natural features, our experts say. In the steppe, you can't hide them. There are forests in the mountains, but it's hard to maneuver. And besides, Crimea isn't that far from mainland Ukraine.
In fact, the Russians have a serious problem with the air defense systems. Most of these systems have actually been redeployed to the territory of temporarily occupied Ukraine. A large number of them were destroyed in Crimea.
It is known that instead of the destroyed radar stations, the Russians are moving radars from the Far East and the north of the Federation to the occupied territories.
In terms of the rate of destruction and the rate of production of these systems, so far Russia is losing more than it is producing.
Enemy radar systems cover command posts, military airfields, weapons depots, and important logistical routes. With every radar that is neutralized, the military capabilities of the Russians decrease, while ours increase.
The goal here is not simply to destroy all air defense systems and then start striking certain targets. These are separate operations that are planned, specifically the execution of such tasks.
According to the General Staff, 1,200 Russian air defense systems have already been destroyed. Radar stations. Some of these systems.
We need to understand that such a radar station is essentially an eye in the sky, which allows for timely detection of threats and in a certain way provides the ability to counter them.
Even before the full-scale invasion, Russian air defense covered less than every second of its strategic sites. Now, this figure is steadily decreasing in favor of the Ukrainian defense forces.
Grads, artillery, trucks loaded with ammunition, and entire companies of soldiers. And that's far from the full list of what the new Ukrainian Armed Forces drone is taking out. A Danish drone in the hands of our defenders is breaking through to the front line. It works tirelessly. After each of its sorties, the Russians try to pull themselves together. Nothing like this has happened before. This combat bird keeps working even when it loses connection with the control point. How is that possible, and what targets is it after? Right in the hell of the front line, it already has its eye on something, we'll tell you in a moment.
There, I think I see some movement, and on the left near it, we can hit it now.
Go ahead.
Closer.
This is the work of the 411th Separate Regiment of Unmanned Systems, Yastrubi. The guys are watching the enemy from the sky and finding targets for strikes thanks to the Danish bird, RQ-35 Heidrun.
This beauty often operates at night. It's a Danish-made drone that conducts reconnaissance missions, and right now it's already ready to detect enemy targets.
On average, the crew makes 5 flights per night. Overall, the intensity of work and the number of flights depends on many factors. This, as well as suppression, is enemy-related. Our suppression systems also operate during air raid alerts.
The RQ-35 Heidrun is ideal for nighttime operations. It's a quiet, mobile, and reliable scout. It gives fighters a real advantage, allowing them to see the enemy while remaining unnoticed, to adjust strikes precisely and to respond in real time. It can stay in the air for over an hour and a half. After launching the drone into the air, the operators monitor it on the computer screen. One operator controls the drone, while the other monitors the camera feed.
Night operations have certain nuances, because we work with signatures, thermal imaging, and also use a certain life hack when we switch the camera to daytime mode to check if any vehicles are driving with their headlights on.
The guys locate targets and relay the coordinates.
Good night, operations officer. We see movement in the area of interest, right where you indicated. As for how we find targets, we probably know this area like the back of our hand by now. We've been flying here for about a year. More or less, we know their supply routes, we know when their rotations happen. That helps us find and neutralize them.
Sometimes the enemy complicates the work of our drones, trying to jam the signal or feed false coordinates.
There are a certain number of satellites. We don't use them, but the plane can see them. That's a fake plane. This means that those coordinates are being fed to it, so the Katsan knows we're here.
But even if the drone temporarily loses connection with the operator, it still completes its mission on its own.
If there is absolutely no established connection between the radio station and the aircraft, it will automatically return to the pre-programmed mission we had specifically set for it.
And it finds such a drone. Various targets for strikes.
We've worked on Grad rocket launchers, we work on counter-battery missions, that's against enemy artillery. We target enemy personnel during their rotations. The same goes for vehicles involved in these rotations, transporting personnel. These are both passenger cars and trucks.
And importantly, this drone is reusable. Our UAV pilots successfully bring it back after every mission.
Sometimes it happens that the drone lands somewhere and we can't find it, but then a farmer plows the field and finds our little plane and they return it to us. And together they work for victory.
Why is it circling?
Here.
These reconnaissance drones are the eyes of the Ukrainian military. Day and night, they keep the enemy under control. And it is thanks to these little birds that the armed forces of Ukraine see everything. And they strike first. Vlada Tsimbalenko, Ilona Kovalma, Ukrainian Army, Television Marathon, United News.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
Boiling point on the Zaporizhzhia front. The Russians advanced but still couldn't break through our defenses. Ukrainian defenders allowed this to happen. The order? Bomb them. He goes out hunting in the darkness of night, the Ukrainian vampire. There are already legends about him. Our people are doing the incredible. Clusters of Russians are turned to ashes. There's no one left to push further into Ukrainian territory. No one is left. However, the fierce confrontation continues. You'll hear all the details about what's happening on this section of the front in the following report.
This is straight from the aid station. Here you go. This was just a show, because we didn't drive them up. Southeast of Orikove and right over the city itself. This is what it looks like around the clock now.
Heavy artillery was firing from about 300 meters away. At first, all at one spot, about 8 shells, and the fragments are reaching us too.
At a distance of 10, 15, 20 kilometers, enemy kamikaze drones are flying into Zaporizhzhia constantly, both during the day and at night.
The lady flew to Danilovka, now to Orikov, about 2 to 1.5 months.
Sometimes it is possible to intercept the signal of a racist FPV, and this is a chance to silence it before they attack.
Antenna
is fired. This is the job for Ukrainian electronic warfare units. The very first task for these soldiers from the 118th Mechanized is bombing.
Here I have bombs. Fuses. I want to tie a few together so they're ready for use. Then you need a shaped charge. Then you need something fragmentary. Sometimes you need a FAB. Sometimes you need an incendiary.
They are from the serious unit of the 118th Brigade's Unmanned Systems Battalion. They admit they have a lot of combat experience behind them, and it's very diverse.
This is indeed my fourth significant position. We've diligently worked at in almost exactly a full year, roughly speaking, to be precise. All the positions were destroyed by drones.
Now, together they make up the crew of the Sirius Heavy Bombers Company.
I've probably been here for about a few months, 8 or 9. Well, overall, that's how much flight time we've logged on drones.
Their tool of the trade is this multi-rotor copter, Vampire. Its ancestor, in its initial iterations, was designed exclusively for peaceful agricultural purposes and mostly flew during the day. Since then, the Vampire has significantly expanded its combat capabilities.
Team, you don't have, I'm under the boat myself.
We dropped off water for the guys yesterday. Yes, right now we're the more combat-oriented part of our company. We carry out strikes, lay mines, and dismantle various bunkers.
Earlier,
we used to lose all of them.
Back in winter, on the Orikhiv-Tokmak direction, the cartographer says we had complete superiority in the use of strike UAVs. But since then, the situation has changed. At
the end of last year, in winter, we had total dominance in the so-called small sky in drones. Then things balanced out, and after that, they started actively hunting our pilots. Because of this, they destroyed quite a few of our positions, and our drone operators were forced to pull back. As a result, that's how they managed to advance.
Lately, he admits. With whom? The pilot and crew commander of Sirius says that the Russians have started attacking Ukrainian aircraft more and more often right in the sky.
They're shooting down more of them. You can suppress it, sure, but it'll just come back home. They throw nets from above. They fly with nets. And with a kind of boost, more or less the same net, just dropping fewer of them. FKB.
But still, every evening they go on duty, and despite the cannonade, they prepare the aircraft for takeoff. And despite the obstacles they try to reach these bombing missions and...
Afterwards,
yes.
Now, temporary shelter, providing a safe and secure place for those in need.
Under the dugout, some kind inside.
Most often now, they fly for Malutokmachka. There, between Verbov and Belohiria, small groups of enemy infantry near the N08 highway are trying to break through from the eastern flank of Orikhiv.
The infantry drive up more or less to the edge of the village, to the neighboring one, and then on foot they try to slip through either into a dugout or a shelter to places where it's already hard to reach them. That's when the Vampire comes in.
According to the information from us,
ultimately, thanks to the round-the-clock work of the Sirius battery crews of the 118th Mechanized Brigade, the enemy has been unable to break through the front towards Orikhiv from the eastern flank.
I would say that right now it is more static.
From the southern section of the front in Zaporizhzhia, Alexander Motorny, Alexander Sheehan and Vitaly Ovsyanikov, TSN 1+1. United News Marathon,